Howdy boys, it's MPC, and today I'm bringing you guys something new. We're going to be doing a themed garage tour, and the theme for this one is red. Every single car that's going to be featured in this garage is red or some sort of variant of it. Before we start reviewing the cars, drop a like if you guys enjoyed the video. Praying this video does well because I think it's a pretty creative idea that I don't think I've seen any other GTA YouTubers cover, so let's get into it. First up, we have the Duke of Death. It's in a very clean Cabernet red with chrome secondary. I think it's just a very classy color combination. I feel like chrome is really underutilized in a lot of vehicles because people think it's cringe, but I hope you guys can see the vision because I think it just screams high end, you know, and I think it looks really good, especially on a car like the Duke's that has accenting that's placed really well, like in the front over here. It's a little dark so you can't see that part as well. The skirts, or I guess that's the exhaust, the door handle, and the rear as well. I have tried this customization on the regular Dukes as well, and I just feel like the Duke of Death has a lot more going on with the bull bar and like the lights on top, and it just looks super cool. So I thought it was a really nice way to spice up the car without making it look too like bulldozer like, because it's definitely got more of an industrial look to it. Up next we have the Trifade Thrax. Very aggressive looking supercar, so I thought red fit it perfectly, and I initially wasn't going to throw a livery on it, but I think that I really like how the geometric shapes look with the Cabernet secondary, the primary color being candy red. And then once I threw the livery on, these black lines that were kind of added onto the front here get glossed over by the Cabernet red pearlescent, and I just think it looks beautiful. I went with the aggressor wing as opposed to any of the ones that like don't really look like they're attached to the car, because I like the look of it, I like the shape, and the car needs a very high spoiler in order to balance itself out because the back end is really flat. Up next we have the Dubashi Champion. A very weird car. I wouldn't say it had the most customization. I do like the carbon hood a lot though. I like how it's just like a small portion of the hood and it doesn't take up the entire thing. I'm not a big fan of when cars do that. And the Champion, similar to the Thrax, is very aggressive looking. It's just far less cool, I think, because I think the shape is a little more standard. It's just a box, and also doesn't handle well, so I don't really have a big reason to want to drive this thing, but it does look really cool, and I think red is probably one of the Champion's best colors. Next up we have the Tropos Rally. This thing is so fun to drive. It's based on the Lancia Stratos, which is a rally car, and I think they made a really good addition of this into GTA. The car looks absolutely amazing from all angles, and I like that it's so small and compact. It makes it really easy to just navigate through traffic, and the car also likes to snap back into place if it spins out, so a really fun driving experience. This is probably like, if I could describe the experience of driving the Tropos Rally, it would probably be Mario Kart in GTA. That's how it feels driving such a small car, especially when you crash into a bunch of things and lose all of the pieces like the doors and the hood and whatnot. It really looks like the standard Mario Kart. Up next we have the Grotti Cheetah Classic, which is based on the Ferrari Testarossa. I love this car. It looks so beautiful. Before this video, I actually tuned it up a little bit because it's been a few years since I customized this thing. Redid the spoiler, added the retro spoiler on the back. That looks super cool. I love the taillights, and I also brightened it up a little bit by changing the secondary accenting from frost white to ice white because that stands out a little bit more, as well as the interior to white in order to emphasize that color a little more. And I also had black cheetah rims on it because cheetah rims on the cheetah car, haha, so funny. But I felt like it needed some thinner spokes, so I threw in the Hyperfreshes instead, and I think the car looks amazing. I love the look of it. This car is second best in its class, I believe, which is the Sports Classics. That's to my knowledge as a PC player. I'm not sure if, you know, HSW variants change anything, because I think the Turismo Classic has an HSW variant on new gen consoles, but we don't have access to that, so we just have the Turismo Classic and the Cheetah Classic for that class. But I think the car looks absolutely beautiful, and I would definitely recommend grabbing one of these if you don't have it because it's just such an amazing car. And last on this floor we have the 10F wide body. This thing looks so good. Rockstar recently has been adding super realistic replicas of cars in real life. It's about time we got a realistic looking Audi, because honestly the 9F just was not cutting it. It was good for its time, I would say. When it was released back in like 2013, I think it was a beautiful car. But I'm so happy that this is in the game, because this is like, it doesn't even look like a GTA vehicle anymore, you know? It looks like it's out of Forza or something. I think the Audis look really good in blue in general, but because this is a red garage, it had to be red. And I thought that the white pinstripe was a super cool livery. Adds like these really thin and sleek stripes onto it. And I think they're placed in super cool spots. So similar to the Cheetah Classic, I wanted to emphasize the white, and that's what I did on the splitter and the skirts as well. Unfortunately, there was no option to do a secondary rear diffuser, so we just went as close as we could with the forged options. That was my accenting color all over the car, aside from the white. As you can see, the side panels, the skirts, and both the front and rear splitter, as well as those little bars under the headlights, those are all forged options. And then we went with the ridgeline hood and roof and the ducktail spoiler, because it has like those ridge lines. They're almost like invisible. Like if you draw them all the way through the car, they go from the hood all the way to the end. And I think the consistency looks really nice. And then I don't know if this is a hot take for you guys. A lot of people don't like chrome rims, but I'm a big fan of Benny's spindles. They are mostly chrome, but I thought it fit since it's so bright and the car has white accenting anyway. It was fine that we went with that. I think chrome rims look bad when it's just the outer ring that's chrome. I think rims like this, where they go really hard on the chrome, and so it's like you have to keep it chrome. It looks good. So that's gonna wrap it up for our first floor. Very beautiful cars. If I had to pick favorites, it's definitely going to be these three right here: the 10F Widebody, the Cheetah Classic, and the Turbos Rally. Starting us off on floor 2B is the Entity MT. If you guys watched my Valentine's Entity MT video, that's where this car comes from. I know it's pink, but pink is like technically a variant of red. If you just mix red and white, it's gonna be pink. So I wanted to feature this car because I think it looks incredibly good. I love how lighthearted it feels. It's like, it's just Valentine's Day, the car. And I think the Entity MT is a very good fit for this color scheme because it's very like sleek, it's very rounded, soft on the eyes. And the pinstripe definitely enhances that effect. Similar to the 10F Widebody we just looked at, I did white accenting for as many places as I could. And then I also decided to go for a low-key ducktail spoiler as opposed to one of the big wings that this car can come with, because I wanted it to seem like more timid. Segoy's an option that pretty much never fails us. Looks incredibly good on this car. And then I went with a two-tone livery because it's just placed so well. That nice deep cut on the side and the triangular shape looks immaculate. Chef's kiss. Up next, we have GTA's old Countach, which is the Pegassi Torero. I initially had this thing customized as the Cannonball Run Countach, which I think looked absolutely amazing. Unfortunately, I don't think GTA's replica of the older Countach is very good. The new one, being the Ignis, looks absolutely fantastic. But I think this one, I really want to like it, but I feel like maybe the wheels are just too small. It looks very stubby. I don't think it's a horrible looking car, but I just feel like it looks more like an old style GTA kind of thing. Like how, sort of like how the 9F was the Audi representative for a while, and now it's really getting outclassed by the 10F. That's sort of how this thing feels. But overall, I don't think the car looks bad. I like the Fujiwara rims on it. I don't think it looks good with like the high-end rims like that with the thin tires. I think it needs some kind of like thicker tires since the rim is so small. But yeah, just a nice clean red. Up next, we have the Furore GT. This is a car that probably not a whole lot of people own because there's not much to it. It's a very old car. I think it released back in 2014. So it's been 9 years, which is pretty insane. But I absolutely love the Furore GT. I think it's incredibly sexy because of how curvy it is. Let's see, this is the best I can do to show you guys without spoiling the rest of the lineup. But I just think that the high arches are almost like nice hips. I don't know if that's weird to say. I don't sleep with my cars. I'm not attracted to cars like that, like the guy from My Weird Obsessions or whatever that show is called. But I think the Furore GT is just a sleek and curvy car. The only downside is that it doesn't even have a spoiler option, so it doesn't handle well or anything. It's not super fast, so it's pretty much just sitting here for the sake of cosmetics. But I think it looks beautiful anyway. Next up, we have the Overflawed Tyrant. This is a very Batmobile looking car. I like how much carbon accenting there is all over the car. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of customization you can do to it. It's pretty much like the carbon hood. I think the carbon roof is not changeable. And then the spoiler and the rims. That's pretty much all there is to it. You can't change the front bumper or anything, so kind of sucks that you can't do more to it, but I think it's still a very aggressive looking car by default and looks so nice. I just don't feel especially attached to it because there's not a whole lot of personalization that can go on, nor does it have the nostalgia factor like the Furore GT, so it is what it is. Next up, we have the Ubermatt SC1, which is based on the BMW i8. If I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, I think this is a really bad adaptation of the i8, especially from the front end. It's very boxy and does not look good at all, nor do I think any of the splitter options look good. However, I added one on because if you don't have a splitter option on it, it looks like it doesn't have a chin. Very weak jawline, you know, so I felt obligated to put one on even though I don't think it looks that good. But from the back end, I think it replicates the i8 very well and it looks incredibly sexy, which is important because the back end is what you're going to be looking at when you're driving the car. But another con to this vehicle is that none of the spoiler options look good. They're all like the very aggressive like carbon attached ones, and they don't fit. They really just don't fit. I wish there was some kind of low-key spoiler, maybe like how the Cheetah Classic had the retro like bars going over it. This could act as a spoiler right here where the louvers are placed, but Rockstar said F you, and this is what we're left with. So really nice back end of the car, but overall I'd probably stay away from this one. I just got it because I'm a big BMW fan. I drive a BMW in real life, and it's like a bit of copium, you know, like I want it to look good so bad, but hopefully we'll get it one day. Even though I'm shitting on the car right now, I think we did a good job customizing it. I went for a garnet red with a hot pink pearlescent, and I think it creates this beautiful fuchsia color. And then I like the separation on the hood. That might be like a Cabernet red or something for the secondary color, and it's got a nice V-shaped stripe down the middle, so looks pretty cool. Up next, we have one of the OG concept cars. It's the X80 Proto. When it was added into the game, I was like, it's really cool, and then I had a period of thinking it was really cringe, and Mr. Harmon absolutely hates this car, so I think maybe that rubbed off on me a little bit and I stopped driving it. But this was my X80 back in the day. I think this is one of the furnished metals, like one of the metal colors you can pick. I don't know, like brush seal or something. I don't know what they're called. It's been a long time. And then we have a Cabernet red primary color with white for the trim color. Kind of how like graffiti artists use white to trace and make it pop out like neon. But overall, I think the car is pretty cool. I just wish maybe it handled it a little bit better. It's incredibly light. Similar to like the Torero XO, I guess. How it doesn't want to brake because it's so light. But the Torero is far faster than this thing will ever be. I almost want to say like I wouldn't recommend getting one of these, but I think the X80 is pretty cool if I'm going to be completely honest. Maybe if we could change the coil color, that would be nice, away from blue and yellow, because that really just does not match the build. But I like the color separation on this car and I think it's pretty cool. It's just more so of like a free mode vehicle because it's definitely not viable for racing anymore. And our very last vehicle on this floor is one of my favorite cars in the entire game. It's the X821. This car is actually midnight blue for its base, but I threw on a candy red pearlescent and it creates this beautiful like nebula color, and I thought that looked really cool. And then we've got some carbon solars because that's a rim you pretty much can't go wrong with. I love the X821 so much. It sounds absolutely beautiful, and I love its oval shape as well. It's very soft on the eyes, and it's got an active spoiler, and in my opinion, it's the best sounding car in the game. This is one of my favorite free mode drivers ever. While it's not the fastest car ever, it handles really well. It's very consistent, and it doesn't like to slide around too much or anything, so it's perfect. I would totally recommend grabbing one of these if you guys don't have one. That wraps it up for floor 2B. If I had to pick some favorites on this floor, it would definitely be the Entity over there. I really like the garnet red with the hot pink pearlescent on the i8. I think it's one of the coolest colors I've been able to come up with so far. And then these two cars, I'm just fans of. So anyway, let's move on to the final level. Starting us off is the Vapid Contender, one of the sickest trucks in the entire game in my opinion. I love that it embraces the whole pickup truck vibe. It's got bolt-ons everywhere. It's really aggressive looking. I tried to match that with the rims as well with the bolts. It's got this huge bull bar in the front, and it's very long. That's the first thing I noticed about the Contender when it came out, is that it's very long. You can also add a truck bed hood onto it, but I wasn't really a fan of that. I didn't like the way it looked, because then it just looked really stupid as like a long SUV, which is what it is. It's an SUV technically is how it's categorized, but I think it looks far better as a truck. As for my color, I went for a matte dark red, I think. And then I did the pearlescent glitch to throw on the cream pearlescent, and I think it creates this beautiful effect that's perfect for a truck. I'm really glad Rockstar updated the off-road tire texture because I think it looks a lot better with this one than it did with the old one. The Contender used to be the fastest SUV in the game, but I think it's been outclassed now by the Tauros as well as the Astron with the HSW upgrade. We don't have that on PC, so it should just be the Tauros, but if you guys like trucks, I would definitely grab a Contender. It's a great drive, it's very fast, and it looks beautiful as well. Up next, we have the Vapid Sand King XL. Huge. This one is definitely a big boy. Harmon and I did a challenge where we both took Sand King XLs off the street and we customized them as like sort of a mini customization battle. It was all off screen, unfortunately, but I thought it looked really cool, kind of similar to the X80 color scheme. I went with like a graphite or like black steel of some sort, and then I went with a Cabernet red secondary color, and I think it looks beautiful. Both of these trucks have crazy suspension, and I think that's part of the reason I like them so much. But the Sand King has never been a good vehicle, will never be a good vehicle, but it's cool because of just how absurdly big it is. Up next, we've got our red Lamborghini, of course, with the Torero XO. I've got it in a Formula Red with a Pfister Pink pearlescent. Creates a little bit more of a subtle fuchsia effect than the hot pink pearlescent did, like on the i8. And then I've got forged options pretty much all over the car wherever I could, aside from the spoiler. Threw a ducktail on that instead of adding one of the extra ones because I thought I wanted this one to be like a bit of a sleeker build. And then we did the stock wheel color glitch to turn the stock wheels black. If you guys are interested in learning how to do this and you don't know how already, I have a video uploaded on my channel. I'll link that in the description for you guys. I wish that there was a clean looking livery that worked with this. I wasn't a big fan of the ones that they had because they had like the red pinstripe, but I thought it didn't look good with red being on top of red. So I have another Torero that's white and red, kind of looks more like the Mach 5, like from Speed Racer, and that one looks nice, but I wish that there was a white pinstripe similar to how the 10F wide body has that. But overall, the Torero XO is one of the best looking vehicles in the entire game. Super amazing replica of the brand new Countach. But overall, the Torero XO is just a beautiful car. I used to hate driving this thing because it's so light and it's like, it feels so different to drive than every other vehicle in the game. Because it's so light and the brakes take forever to start working, but it's ridiculously fast. It's literally a rocket. So I've learned to enjoy it more, and I'm happy that it's in the game. Up next, we have the Pegassi Osiris, which is a Lamborghini in-game, but is based off of Pagani in real life. This is supposed to be the OG Pagani Huayra. I used to own a white one of these a very long time ago, but Mr. Harmon hated this vehicle and bullied me into selling it, so this was like 6 years ago. Don't go after him for this. It was all fun and games. I sold it of my own will. Because honestly, the car, like, it looks cool, but it just doesn't have all that much customization to it. There's not a whole lot to it. But I think recently, because it was on sale, I customized it, and I came up with this color scheme. It's a candy red with, I don't know if it has any pearlescent on it. That might just be black. And then I went with white trifade concaves, and I think the candy cane build just looks absolutely amazing on it. As clean as this car looks, it's harder to pull off a clean build on it, I think. I feel like this is the best looking splitter on it, and it's a lot more race-like, and I believe this is the best looking spoiler on the vehicle. It sits a lot higher than the other one, which is a little more chill and like slanted. I feel like the height that this spoiler gives is what the Osiris needs because the back end flattens out a little too much. Overall, it's a great looking car, and once was very fast. I just wish that maybe, I don't know, they updated the Pagani Huayra because it can definitely use a lot more details like the Torero XO. Like, look at these two cars side by side. Tell me which one is like the GTA car. It's definitely going to be this one, but of course it's a lot older. I probably wouldn't recommend getting an Osiris if I'm completely honest because, while similar to the XA21, it's not like the fastest thing ever, but it doesn't like handle poorly or anything. It just doesn't have that much customization. I guess the XA21 doesn't either now that I'm thinking about it, but it is literally the best sounding car in the game. So like, what does this one have over it? But if you like it and you're willing to drive it around in free mode, I'm sure any eyes that see your car would be appreciative. Speaking of OGs, we've got the Pfister 811. This was the OG fastest vehicle in a straight line. Absolute dog shit handling. But I think the 811 is such a beautiful car. It's based on the Porsche 918 Spider, I think. And it's just so sleek. I love the curves on this thing. I think the spoiler matching the line from all the way on the door and like wrapping around the the rear end of the car looks super cool. And I think it's just like, for such an OG vehicle, they did a really good job designing it. I think the front end could look better. I don't think any of the splitter options on the front are all that good, but the rear end looks fire. Looks exactly like the 918. My biggest complaint is probably the exhaust. How like you kind of have to keep it like this, otherwise it gets thrown on the back and then you have these empty like husks. It just is really unsatisfying to look at the engine in the back. But the driving experience is pretty fun with this thing. You launch like a rocket because it is one of the fastest vehicles in a straight line. Unfortunately, it is now slower than the Torero XO, which I had to learn the hard way. Kind of insane, but it's still a very fun drive. It looks absolutely amazing as well. The handling could definitely be better, but the pros of the experience definitely outweigh the cons. So if you guys ever see this thing on sale or just have some extra cash lying around, I would grab one of these for a good free mode driver. Up next, we have the all-new Tundra Panther, which is based on the Alpha A110. Very pretty looking car. I think Rockstar did a really good job customizing it. Like the way it looks and everything in the game, I think it looks super cool, especially with those like, I don't know what you call those. They're kind of like nostrils, but I feel like that's doing it dirty. Some of the options on this car look really cool, like the, I want to say it's like, not the splitter. I think the splitter options are all pretty terrible and they all look the same if I'm going to be completely honest, but the part that's right behind the license plate under where it says Tundra, that part's sick. All of those options look really cool. And I like the overall shape of the car, how it's smaller as well. The spoiler options, unfortunately, are all like kind of add-ons like this. I think this was the best looking one. The louvers have a very nice shape to them in my opinion. The liveries are a little lacking if I'm gonna be completely honest. I thought this one looked the best, and I initially had it in white, which created a super sick like black and white look on the back. Kind of like if you guys have ever watched Attack on Titan, after they transform from the Titans, they've got those markings on their faces. Reminds me a lot of that, and I was inspired heavily to do so. But I did end up changing my customization into a candy red with a lot of white accenting on the livery, on the side as well, and with the rims. And I think it looks a lot better this way. Definitely more race car like. I wish you could go with a more cleaner build because I feel like that's what this car screams. It's like this is the future, you know? It's like this is supposed to be the future of car design, and then they made it like only have race car options, so I'm very thrown off by it. The car also doesn't handle well and is also disappearing at the end of this week, so make sure if you guys don't have one, you guys grab it. Hopefully it's in the game again later on, because it sucks that Rockstar is like adding cars for a week and then taking them away. But it's not the end of the world if you're missing out on it. There's plenty of other cool vehicles. And the very last car in our red car garage is the Obey Omni EGT. This car looks so geeky when you first buy it, and I just had to like spice it up, make it look very tuner-esque. And now I think it's probably one of the best customizations I've ever done on a vehicle. If you guys haven't seen the Obey Omni EGT customization battle, this was my presentation, and I blew Harmon out of the water with this thing. Candy red, once again, does not fail us. And then I made it look even more aggressive with the black hood and a roof, as well as adding a huge splitter on the front, as well as adding a huge wing on the back. And then for the rear splitter, I had to make it look as aggressive as possible. I think those canards on the back, I'm typically not a fan of canards, but are the saving grace for this car because it's so like hollow looking in the back. I think it feels like it has no chin again with that theme, but I think it looks a lot more fierce and kind of brings out the shape of the lights with the canards. So I'm very happy with this customization. I absolutely hate driving the EGT because it literally does not turn, nor is it fast. But it is, I think, the tankiest Imani Tech vehicle. I just don't have mine upgraded because I wanted this to be a street build. And I think it looks great. If I had to pick some favorites on this floor, this one's going to be pretty difficult. But I would say the Contender, I don't know. I really like them all. I think maybe the Sand King is a little like, maybe a little more tame. But I think all of the vehicles look great. If I had to pick three, I would probably say the Contender, the Osiris, and the EGT. I think these two look fantastic. I just feel like it's like reverse recency bias where I just think it's a little awkward because I think the car does look really good. And then the Torero and the 811 are just red with black rims. I think they look amazing. I think this is the best customization that I could think of to throw on these vehicles, but they are a little basic, just being primarily red with black, no like carbon hoods or anything, so that's okay. I think all of these vehicles look amazing. I would not be showing them off if I didn't believe so. That's gonna wrap it out for the all red garage tour. Drop a like if you guys enjoyed the video, comment down below and let me know which your favorite cars from this garage were. Also let me know what you think about this color themed garage tour idea. I don't think anyone else has done it so far, and I'm hoping you guys like it because I had a lot of fun putting this together, and I plan on doing more of these in the future. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, and that's about it for this one. So take care, and I'll catch you boys in the next one. Peace!